All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new DC update. And boy, do I have to laugh at the amount of shilling that is going on all over social media right now because of the success of Superman. But we're going to see if it really was a success and what people are comparing it to. And I just have to laugh when they do this. I'm going to show you the biggest hypocrisy post I think I have ever seen on social media. And we're going to talk about a big rumor that is going on with DC right now. But first off, I wanted to thank each and every one of you for tuning into my channel and watching my videos. You guys made July my biggest month ever here on YouTube. And I cannot thank you guys enough for your support. I'm going to continue to bring you the truth. I'm going to continue to bring you the facts and show you what is actually happening versus what the studios and the shills are telling you is happening. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen what's going on right now. But I'm going to continue to bring you this news. And if this is your first time on my channel, please, if you like the video by the time you get to the end, take the time to like the video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you will be notified when I have new videos go up. I just had to laugh at some stuff today, guys. I have never seen such crazy stuff get passed around social media. This Superman movie has everybody just up in arms and just going crazy, and we're going to see what it actually means. But let's take a look at some of the photos that I have grabbed. First up, at the end of my last DC update, James Gunn basically said he was writing Superman 2. But it is not Superman 2. He came out and clarified that it's another DCU film where Superman has a significant role. I do believe that this is world's finest, and I do believe James Gunn wants to be the guy to cast Batman. He says it is the same project that he mentioned a few weeks ago. And so it is not a Superman sequel. There is no Superman sequel that has been greenlit. David Corenswet is not a massive star. He's not a big draw. And they spent a lot of money on Superman. And if they don't get a return on Clayface or Supergirl, we're going to see this thing canceled sooner rather than later. And I really don't think this thing is ever going to get off the ground because it certainly did not with Superman. And we're going to see exactly why it didn't take off the ground with Superman here in just a little bit. Now, this is one of those things that I thought was very interesting. I really enjoyed the Sandman season that was on Netflix, and I don't think that this is getting a season 2 because the creator of Sandman, there were some nasty things that happened behind the scenes, and so I think they scrapped a season 2. But it says Robert Pattinson's Batman was briefly considered as a cameo in the Sandman season finale. We talked about it. Does Robert Pattinson want to come to the funeral? Briefly. We discussed that, but only briefly. And I thought that was interesting. I think the tone and the feel very much would have meshed with those two shows joining together. Again, we lose greatness, and it's replaced by something stupid. Now, this is pretty funny. It says, Superman will likely be the highest-grossing comic book movie of 2025. The first time for DC since 2008 when the MCU started. Read our review. Okay, this comes from Discussing Film. Not hard to be the highest-grossing comic book movie. When Marvel is throwing out dud after dud after dud, DC has done the same thing, and it's been dud after dud after dud, and Superman is a flop. Make no mistake about it. It is still about $200 million from making a profit, although people are lying to you and telling you that it has now met its goal. Some people are just claiming that it is now profit when it is not. It still has to overcome its marketing budget, and so it is still over $200 million in the hole, which it will not make at the box office. This movie is a failure. When Man of Steel came out in 2013, it was already making the studio money before it ever got released in theaters. This is not the win they think it is. When there are there's no other superhero films coming out this year, you would hope that Superman would be the highest grossing. But it didn't even come close to what the Batman did in theaters, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever it was. Now, this is one of those things that I just kind of had to laugh at. Someone said, this was from Prideful Sin on X, Reign of Pride. It said, people care about box office so much like they're getting a share of it. Like, relax. Movies underperforming doesn't mean it's a flop. And I posted, these same people will tell you that Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Black Adam were flops. Now people are actually having to come out and admit that Man of Steel was not a flop. Neither was Batman vs. Superman. Yes, it bombed in its second weekend, but that was clearly because the studio had 30 minutes cut from the film. The extended version is amazing, okay? But it still made the movie hundreds of millions of dollars, okay? Black Adam is the only one that's questionable on this list, but here's the thing. Black Adam made a ton of money at the theater. It was when people started to go back, the interest was back after you had all of these bombs. You know, from all the way from, what do you call it? Not Black Adam, but Shazam. From Shazam up until the time Black Adam got released, it was nothing but flops. All the way up till Black Adam. That's when people became interested again, and when they announced that Henry Cavill was back as Superman. Did it make its money back? Not quite, but it came close. It was not $200 million in the hole like Superman is currently. So if you're going to call Superman a hit or that it's okay, then you have to admit Black Adam was not a flop either. You can't have it both ways. You can't pick and choose which movies you're going to call a flop and what you're not. A flop is a flop. If Black Adam was a flop because it didn't make its money back, Superman is a flop because it's not making its money back. Somebody tried to come in and say, well, it made a lot more money. You know, it's made about $150 million more than Black Adam did. Well, I would hope so. It's freaking Superman, people. Make it make sense. It should have done way more than what it is doing. But the problem is, it has flopped overseas big time. You actually have these people out there shilling for Superman. According to Luis Fernando, Superman is eyeing a global theatrical run of $640 to $680 million. You know why they chose these numbers? Just to say that it outdid Man of Steel. That's the only thing. These are not real numbers, people. This is just a number somebody threw out there. It's not true. It's not going to make anywhere near that money while it's in theaters. It's not going to happen. This movie has had its legs cut out from underneath it. It's over. It's done. It's going to make nothing at the theater. So it's not going to come anywhere near those numbers. Also, I thought this was kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead and skip this because I can watch these at home in my own theater. If it was for more than one day, I would definitely go out and see these and take the time to do it. But considering it's exclusive for one day only, I'm going to pass on this. But it says Tim Burton's Batman and Batman Returns return to theaters for one night only exclusively in Dolby Cinema at AMC on August 25th. Tickets are on sale now. So if you guys want to go see this and take a chance to go see it in theaters, if you've never had the opportunity, you should go. These are both very interesting movies. I don't consider them definitive Batman films, but I do enjoy both of these. I think these were definitely more in tone with comic books than anything James Gunn has ever done. And these were some interesting movies, but I can watch these at home in my own theater. I just wish it was maybe a couple of week run. But if they could do this, why can't they do the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever? I just don't understand. All right, guys, so here is the big news in regards to my thumbnail. Oh my gosh, it says Henry Cavill officially speaks out as Amazon confirms he will play the next Bruce Wayne in at least 3 upcoming Batman movies. He stated that the return of this legendary super project will definitely please everyone and will knock down previous versions. Guys, this is not happening. This is something somebody made up on Facebook. It got picked up by a lot of people. You can see that this is being shown on the Batman Fan Club on Facebook. This is not true. This is not true. Henry Cavill is not going to come back and work for Warner Brothers at this stage. Definitely not for something like this. They screwed him over bad. And he knows it. Actors will not They're just not going to. He's not going to do it. I guarantee you, he's not going to be playing Batman. Okay. In fact, a lot of people think it's the guy from one of the Yellowstone spinoffs. I forget the guy's name, but he's been on social media showing his physique. I forget the guy's name off the top of my head. He's in like 1923, and he's more than likely going to be Batman before Henry Cavill would. Henry Cavill is not going to be playing Batman. Whoever started this is lying. It is fake. All right, now this made me laugh when I saw John Campia post this. This goes to show you that they are going to pull out every stop to try and show that their movie is a success. And I'd like to know how much Warner Brothers is paying this guy. He said, when talking about box office totals historically, ignore anyone who tries to bring up if you take inflation into account up. The fallacy of taking inflation into account is that it makes the wildly inaccurate assumption that if a certain movie was released today instead of the era it came out in, let's say the 1980s or something like that, that it would have sold just as many tickets today as it did back when it was released. This is obviously a ridiculous assumption. It fails to take into account numerous variables and seismic shifts in the industry and society in general. Variables like, number one, fewer people go to the movies today. They do simply because everything costs too much, okay? People are having to choose where they spend their money. But what's crazy about this is if you get a good movie or you make a movie people want to go see, they're going to go see it. So one is not a variable when you're talking about the types of movies that they're talking about. Because Spider-Man No Way Home made over $1 billion. You had Deadpool and Wolverine make over $1 billion. You had Avatar 2 make over $1 billion. Barbie, Oppenheimer. There are plenty of films that have come out that have made bank. If you make a good movie that people actually want to go see, they will go see it. And the fact is, people don't want to see Superman. The second thing he mentions, ticket prices were cheaper in previous eras, making it easier and more attractive for people to go to the theaters. This is irrelevant because everything is relative, and this is why you do ticket-for-ticket comparisons. Because for its time period when any of these other movies got released, it was still quite a bit of money to go to the theater. It's no different. Everything is relative to that time frame where society is and how much things cost at that time period. If things were that bad to what they're mentioning here, movie theaters wouldn't even exist. People wouldn't go at all. Okay? 3, he said more competition from a much larger number of films being released today. Well, then how did Superman No Way Home or Spider-Man No Way Home make so much money? How did Oppenheimer? How did Barbie make so much money? How did Top Gun Maverick make so much money when there's all this competition out there? Number 4, the advent of streaming. Sorry, that doesn't matter either. We're talking about how much money a movie makes while it's in theaters. 5, other competition for disposable income like video games. I grew up in the 80s. We had video games all the way back in the 1980s too. It was a big deal when I was a kid with the regular Nintendo. So, sorry, games were expensive back then too. It's the same, the disposable income, it's the same for everybody. This has not changed by any degree. Number 6, movies have much shorter theatrical runs today. And then he goes on, and that is true to a degree, but that's the choice of the studios, guys. The studios are the ones who are deciding we're going to take it out of theaters and put it in streaming, when they shouldn't be doing that. If Hollywood wanted to save itself, then they would go back to the old model of you take it out, it's in theaters for 3 to 4 months, and then you have to wait like another 3 or 4 months before you can get it on video, and then maybe do streaming a year later. That they bring on themselves. And if you're going to say that that's a factor, that's totally, you're just not paying attention. And then he goes on to say, and about 20 others. Of course, they're going to throw thing after thing after thing at you. They said to take inflation into the equation assumes a movie would have sold just as many tickets today as it did when it first came out. And that is an idiotic assumption. Sorry, John. Your post is idiotic. It just is. All right, I'm over here on Twitter because I wanted to show you guys a couple of things. First off, Absolute Batman Volume 1 does get released today. My copy is showing up from Amazon here a little bit later today. I got the hard copy of issues 1 through 6. I'm excited to reread this. I've got the original comics put away. They're stored. I may have them graded at some point because this has had so many reprints, it is ridiculous. This is the best thing to happen to DC Comics in a very, very long time. And if you aren't reading Absolute Batman, you should. Scott Snyder is killing it with the writing. It has done a lot for DC Comics. This whole Absolute run is more serious and it's darker, and there's a reason why it's doing so well. This is what people are gravitating towards. All right, so the big thing that people are talking about today is that Superman is going to overtake probably Jurassic World Rebirth at the domestic box office this week in just a few days. They said that it is most likely to overtake Batman versus Superman also for domestic intake. Well, I would certainly hope so. Okay? Again, this is Superman that we're talking about. But you know what? If it hits Jurassic World Rebirth and it matches its domestic run, you have to look at the international run because Jurassic World is killing it. It's going to end up at almost $800 million worldwide. They do expect sequels to happen. Superman, on the other hand, is failing overseas. And for it to try and match, if you want to talk about, they're telling you shouldn't consider inflation as a thing. But then they're going to sit there and claim that because a movie made something more than something that came out 13 years ago, it's some amazing feat. It is not amazing because tickets are almost twice as much, up to twice as much as they were 13 years ago. So if a movie today takes in more or matches what something did 13 years ago, it sold about 60% of the amount of tickets that movie did. That is not something to be proud of. And I posted on X here. So I guess the domestic box office is the only thing that matters anymore. I wonder when that happened. Well, when it happened is when they wanted to make Superman look better than it actually is. And let's see what people had to say on this post. Beku Movies said, I mean, who needs Rest of Planet when your movie, your universe, and the studio that hired you is flopping hard, right? TJ posted, I think we all know where this is headed. Crazy Catman said, the funny thing is that we need to go check on box office websites that the domestic box office of Snyder movies was because no one gave an F about them. Now we need to check them because super shit is beating the domestic box office on this, and that always without inflation, obviously. Someone said domestic and Rotten Tomatoes are the unique values that matter now for some little group. Well, everyone is working for Gunn for nothing. And then Movie Hub has to chime in. This guy, and guys, I haven't talked about this in any of my videos yet. Movie Hub, just so you guys know, works for Warner Brothers or works for DC. He works for DC and he will tell you he does. You cannot trust what he says. He goes to say, well, the profit return percentage is domestic is over 30% more than Asia. So yeah, domestic hold is good news for Superman. Passing Jurassic World Rebirth to be the third behind Minecraft and Lilo and Stitch. Are you wanting to find negatives only? Again, they want to act like the international box office doesn't matter. But it does. It is a fact that Superman is still $200 million in the hole. Someone said what mattered for Superman was positive critic and fan reactions to turn things around, not making a profit. Someone said, why you care so much about how much a movie make? Like it or not, not your effing movie. You don't even work for DC Studios. Like, also keep talking shit about a film that you don't like. Again, another hater. So, most people agree with this. It's true. The studio and the media is shilling for this. They're making this out to be some amazing thing when it is not. Guys, it is still $200 million in the hole before the studio will see a dime. And if they think Peacemaker Season 2 is going to bring in a bunch of subs, or they think Clayface is going to bring a bunch of people to the theater, or that Supergirl is going to be this massive hit, what are they thinking? What are they thinking? All right, guys, so there you have it. I had to get this DC update. You know, everything from Henry Cavill being Superman to the shilling for what Superman is actually doing and what it means for the studio. I've never seen such twisting of numbers when I say just compare ticket to ticket. It's crazy that Superman the movie that came out in 1978, when there were far fewer people in the world, far fewer theaters, sold so many more tickets than what Superman is doing today. It is a fact that Superman has sold way fewer tickets than Superman Returns, way fewer tickets than Man of Steel, and also the only two movies that it has sold more tickets than is Superman 3 and Superman 4. Outside of that, every other movie with Superman in it has sold more tickets. So the interest was with those properties, not with this Superman. It matters. All right, guys, we will see you on the next update.